shaking, my friends? My name is Shay. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about romance reads. So we talked about fantasy and how I was having a crisis because I didn't know what fantasy I liked. And today we're going to talk about romance, and it is a very different kind of thing with romance because I know exactly that I like romance and what exactly I like in romance. So these are my top romance reads, and if you've been a part of my channel for any length of time, these have not changed. I've spoken about all of these in past videos. I haven't read romance as much recently. I have been concentrating on fantasy, and so, but I'm going to try to get back into reading some romance. I feel like romance is a really great palate cleanser for in between fantasy reads. So we're just going to go ahead and hop to it. So first I'm going to recommend some YA reads. I've kind of gotten out of the YA romantic genre, but there are a couple of books that I wish to mention. Number one, if you have a teen, I highly recommend, and this is just one of the books, but all the books by Jen Bennett. This happens to be Alex approximately, but she has several that I've read and I've adored, and I won't go much into what this one particularly is about because I just want to recommend the author. I think all of her stories are great for young adult readers. A personal favorite for me, and this has a little bit of a speculative element to it, and that's going to be Amelia Unabridged by Ashley Schumacher. I absolutely adore this book. First of all, the cover, stunning, okay? And what's inside is stunning. It's a super short book, and it is the study of grief and love, and highly, highly recommend this. This is the story of a girl whose friend has died, and they had a fight just before she died, and she's very depressed, very sad about not only her friend dying, but the fact that they had an argument, and they bonded over a certain book series written by a certain young male author. And one day a package comes to this girl's bookstore, and it's a special edition of this guy's book, and she thinks that it's her friend speaking beyond the grave, and it is such a great story, and she is trying to find herself, and highly recommend this if you haven't read it. The next book, one of my other favorite young adult romances, is going to be Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. She also has written some great adult romances as well, but I particularly really love this YA romance. They are two enemies, technically. They are rivals. They are trying to get the best grades in high school, and they've always been that way. And now high school is ending, and they're going on a scavenger hunt, and they have been paired together as part of that. And I truly, truly, really liked this book, and the characters were great. The romance was great. Highly recommend. Now we're going to move onto some adult reads. Of course, the infamous Battery Change. So moving on to adult romance, I'm going to recommend a rom-com author that I think does a fantastic job. Of course, I haven't read all of her backlist because I swear to God, the woman writes a book a day. I do not understand. But that's going to be Megan Quinn. I highly recommend anything by her. Everything I have read by her, I have laughed out loud. But the ones that I started with was her baseball series, Brentwood Brothers. I'm not sure. I'll pop it up here, but I highly enjoyed that. The first couple start in college baseball, and then the rest of the series is professional baseball. Highly recommend anything she writes though, and I need to catch up on her. She is laugh out loud funny. Of course, another funny author duo that I like is going to be Christina Lauren. Now, this is The Unhoneymooners. I'm sure that you have all heard about this book. This is about a girl and a guy who really don't like each other, but they have come together for their friend's sake. They are best man and maid of honor to their friends that are getting married, and unfortunately everybody gets sick at the wedding reception because they ate seafood, but these two did not. So why make a honeymoon go to waste? So they go and they pretend that they are recently married, and they go on their honeymoon, their friend's honeymoon, and it is a wild rom-com time, and I highly recommend. I also do like some of her other books. I like The Soulmate Equation. I liked Josh and Hadel's Guide to Not Dating. There's a couple more. I don't really quite remember. I've read a lot of their books and recommend them as a whole. Another author that's one of my favorites is going to be, if you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know this is going to be Abby Jimenez. So my favorites from her are the Happy Ever After playlist and Life's Too Short. And then she has another one, The Friend Zone, which was fun. And she just had a book that came out and I haven't read it yet. But she kind of does more hard-hitting novels, so I really like that. If I want like a rom-com-y time, I'll go to a Megan Quinn or possibly a Christina Lauren, just that focuses on just the romance. But if I want something a little bit more serious, I will move to like Abby Jimenez. She is great at that. This one tackles terminal illness, and this one tackles suicide and death and all of that, and I loved it. I loved both of these two and would highly recommend. So, speaking of hard-hitting, I recommend all of these authors' first 3 books. That's going to be Helen Hoang, and I'm holding up The Heart Principle because this was actually my favorite, whereas most people say this is their least favorite of the series. This is my most favorite, but she has these books and they are great autistic representation, and this one specifically also has great caregiver fatigue in it, which is what it's about. It's hard-hitting. I loved it. If I want, like I said, a rom-com-y time, I'll go to a rom-com author. Helen Hoang is not that, especially not in this one, and I know people were disappointed by that, but I absolutely positively loved it. Another book that I enjoyed was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Now, you know I didn't like Beach Read, but I loved this one. This one follows our 2 main characters who have been friends in the past, and then you know something has happened and they have not spoken for a very, very long time, and she is sick of it. She wants her friend back, and so they go on vacation together, and it goes from there, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. This was one of my favorite romances of last year. I highly recommend. We cannot have romance without talking about the queen of slow burn, and that is going to be Mariana Zapata. And if you do not like slow burn romances, do not read these. These are chunky, as you can see. And basically, her characters usually don't get together until like the last chapter. So you're reading all of this and then they get together here in the last chapter. And so there's no insta love here. It's all very slow build, and I am a right big fan of that. So this is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and this is her footballer marriage of convenience romance. This is From Luke Off with Love, which is enemies to lovers ice skating romance. She also has Colty, which is like soccer coach. He's a little bit older than she is, romance. And then you have, I also have read Lingus by her, which is a male porn star and just a regular girl. And I've enjoyed all of them. And yeah, I can't wait to read more of her. I really do need to read more, but sometimes physical reading is a little bit difficult for me now that I've found audio. I found it, I don't know about you guys, but I have found it very, very hard to read physical books, to read anything without the audio. I'm an immersion reader girl. Anyway, also another author that slipped my mind until just right now is Elle Kennedy. She has like the Deal series, the campus, oh I can't remember what it's called, off-campus series I think is what it's called. I highly recommend those as well. I love romance. It is probably the second most read genre that I have because I use them as palette cleansers, but I am looking for more recommendations, so if you have any, let me know, because I need all the romance in my life and all the happiness and all the feels. Alright guys, I hope your reading is going all kinds of well, and I will catch you guys later.